Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Monday, this February 27th, 2023. Got a big show for you guys today. One day before CPAC. Super excited for that. Make sure you guys are tuning in all weekend long. We're going to be lining up some great guests all throughout the weekend, both on here and on rumble.com/LFATV, where all the action's going to be happening. Make sure you guys are subscribed to that page so you don't miss out on anything going on. Super excited about that. CPAC's always a good time. I hope to see a lot of you down there. If you're there, make sure you stop by the LFA booth. Say hello to all of our fantastic hosts. Before we get started, guys, make sure you smash on that Rumble button. Share this video out all over the place. This is a story that I have a story for you today that's going to go nationwide. It's not getting enough coverage, obviously. Because, national media doesn't seem to want to inform the people on anything that actually would help their lives. But I think this is incredibly important, and I want you guys all to be able to know your rights when you go to these sorts of school board meetings and get crap from your local school board president. Also, if you're on Facebook, make sure you guys hit that like button. Share this video into all of your groups, so that everyone else knows what their rights are as well. Also, head on over to loudmajorityus.com. Sign up for the newsletter. Check out the shop. Use promo code LFA at checkout for 20% off. That's promo code LFA for 20% off at checkout. Let's dive right in, everybody. Let's dive right in. A Georgia school district has been forced to pay $100,000 after censoring parents at a school board meeting. Now, I'm sure many of you know, if you've been to your local school board meeting, you'll try to say something, or maybe you'll read a passage from a book that is sexually explicit that you don't want your kids reading. And the school board will, of course, shut you down for reading that sort of thing. It will shut you down for reading that. Let's say your school district has the book Genderqueer in the library, and you want to read a passage from that. But the school board tells you that you can't. Well, it turns out now there is federal precedent for you to sue your school board if something like that were to happen. So next time you want to go there and you want to read Persepolis, or you want to read Genderqueer, or any of these other ridiculous books that our kids are being pushed on our children, just know that you now have legal recourse with precedent being set in federal law. This from Channel 9 News in ABC 9 in Georgia. This was a deep dive. It took me to find this one. A Georgia public school district paid more than $100,000 in legal fees after a federal judge ruled it could not ban parents from reading sexually explicit library books during school board meetings. Mothers from the Atlanta-based advocacy group Mama Bears joined parents across the United States last year by expressing concerns over material available to their children directly with district representatives. The mothers felt several books at the county school libraries were sexually explicit and demanded that they be removed. The books included titles such as Georgia Peaches and Other Forbidden Fruit, and Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, the latter of which has been challenged in several states over the last decade. The mothers attempted to read passages from the books at various school board meetings to emphasize their concerns. However, these school board members continuously required them to use euphemisms as opposed to reading directly from the text due to profane and vulgar language. Mother Allison Hare was banned from the school board meetings for 10 months after refusing to comply and accusing the school district of sexualizing her children. You're damn right. So it turns out it's okay for the kids to read the books, but we can't read them at public school board meetings so that everyone else in the community can know the sorts of things that are going on. This is what happens when you get activist teachers on school boards. This is what happens. They don't want people to know what they're teaching our kids. So they censor you in public for saying it, but they can read it behind closed doors. Quote, a school board meeting is much more analogous to a courtroom than it is to a school full of minors from a First Amendment perspective, the reading reads. And because profane remarks or profanity are generally protected speech. In such settings, courts have generally held that outright prohibitions on profane language or profanity are not allowed. The ruling permits all members of the school district community to read directly from any district library book during public comment periods. It also prohibits the board from banning any parent who attempts to do so. This Forsyth County School Board must pay $107,500 in attorney fees in addition to a previous agreement to pay nominal damages to the parents. Good. I'm sure you could put that towards your kids' therapy when they end up being socially transitioned at the age of, 12, 13, whenever we're doing this now. While Mama Bear's chair, Cindy Martin, is celebrating what she considers a victory for free speech, she hopes the outcome serves as precedent. You're damn right it does. The Forsyth County Board of Education has cost this community a large financial loss due to their arrogant violation of our God-given right to free speech, Martin said. Instead of admitting their wrongdoing and reinstating our rights, they hired lawyers to fight us in court. What an enormous waste of taxpayer dollars and school resources. We hope this is a lesson to our school board and school districts across the nation that they must respect the rights of parents and the First Amendment. Somebody had to do it. It was only a matter of time. It was only a matter of time until something like this happened. And I'm so happy that it did, because now parents across the country now know what their rights are. They now know what that when a school board member attempts to make you not say something, particularly in a book that your child is being forced to read, you have legal recourse. There is now federal precedent. Now, if you're in New York like I am, it's entirely possible that judges just don't care about that. The judges don't care about that. But now you know what your rights are. Did you hear about this on Fox? Did you hear about it on Newsmax or OAN? I know you didn't hear about it on Real America's Voice because nobody watches that channel. How about News 12? Newsday? Did it come up anywhere? No. Because News 12 is very excited, guys. News 12 is very excited because this weekend, or over the next couple of days, it's going to snow. So make sure you guys tune into News 12 for the active weather report, just in case you don't have a window. Make sure you guys tune in every 7 minutes. We're going to update you on the things that matter, like whether it's snowing out, which you can tell by looking out the door. A spokesperson for the school board confirmed to the National Desk, the TND, that the fees were paid this month. The spokesperson said that the district approved a new public participation policy for its board meetings on Tuesday, and the school district is moving forward. The revised policy states that, among other things, that speakers may bring printed or other supporting material, and no individual or group will be retaliated against. Well, that's big of you. For sharing concerns. It contains no mention of the use of profane or vulgar language. Well, that's big of you. That's big of you, Forsyth County School Board. That now you'll agree that there will be no retaliation against parents for simply sticking up for their children. That's really big of you guys. I don't know how you were able to manage that. I don't know how you were able to manage not retaliating against, and we've seen this all over the place. I mean, look, Sean and I were chased down by members of the New York State Teachers Association during the school board fight last year. This is just what they do. It's just what they do. I mean, I'll be honest with you, I was kind of laughing when it happened because the day that I fear retaliation from a chemistry teacher is the day that I'll just quit this game altogether because, unless you're Walter White, I mean, who really cares? I'm real. Ooh, the trigonometry teacher is coming after me. I'm really, really terrified. One thing I do find rather terrifying that no one seems to be talking about. Another thing is that these electric cars are. It turns out they're not as safe as people want to pretend they are. It turns out they're not as safe as people pretend. There's an editorial in the Riverhead News Review. I don't even know what the hell outlet this is. But it brings up a very interesting point that nobody seems to consider. These ion lithium batteries, these gigantic, basically ticking time bombs that are sitting inside of these electric cars. Apparently, they have a. I'll never know this because I don't make as much money as AOC, so I'll never be able to afford a Tesla. But apparently, they seem to be exploding all the time. And this happened out in Riverhead last week at approximately 11:30 p.m. Friday. Two cars collided on Route 25 and East Marion, just west of Truman's Beach. One car was a Ford Explorer, and the other an electric Tesla, which is powered by a lithium battery. By all accounts, in the aftermath of the collision, which claimed 4 lives, the battery in the Tesla caught fire, engulfing both vehicles. First responders from Orient, East Marion, and Southold arrived. And after 2 hours of pouring large amounts of water on the burning vehicle, managed to put out the fire. Ooh, that's good. So, turns out when these cars go on fire, it's basically impossible to put them out. Photographs from the scene showed a fire-scarred roadway, which was the result of the intense heat generated by the lithium batteries when they caught fire. It is not hyperbole to say that this fire on a winter's night on the Orient Causeway is the canary in the coal mine, a warning, in other words, of the challenges of electrification of cars and trucks posed to first responders if a fire breaks out. Well, was nobody talking about that? You ever notice this about the left and all their policies? That they never seem to want to admit or own up to the fact that there may be negatives in the policies in which they are prescribing. There never seems to be any sort of negatives to any of the policies they are prescribing. Although we are starting to see this sort of thing come back to bite them in the ass, because it turns out when you prescribe to a social contagion, whether it's climate change or whether it's the trans movement, it turns out there are going to be downstream effects. There's going to be downstream effects, and there's going to be negatives that go on with these sorts of things. Let me just finish up this article real quick. Adding to this challenge will be the building of large-scale battery energy storage facilities that are being proposed in both Southold and Riverhead, with fire department officials among those raising concerns about them. These storage facilities are critical to the development of green energy systems, such as offshore windmills. We'll get to that. But how safe are they to communities around them? Can our fire departments successfully contain a fire at one of them? Probably not, but nobody will talk about that. You won't hear AOC. You won't hear AOC talking about that. No. As with the car fire on Friday night, the central question must be answered, and answered soon. Is this, as our fire departments, staffed by volunteers, equipped to put out electric fires as the one that claimed 4 lives on Friday? Probably not. Let's be honest, these fire departments, particularly out here in Long Island, they're volunteers. I mean, they have some of the best equipment in the world, but this is now a new problem. Are they going to have to buy some sort of a new system to put out lithium-ion battery fires? Or are we just going to let the cars explode? Are we just going to let them explode? How many lives will be lost because AOC wants to pray at the altar of Al Gore? Because John Kerry wants to please Greta Thunberg. They never seem to talk about the negatives in any of the things that they're doing. However, this is all starting to change. This is all starting to change because of one brave person. One brave person who I'm sure many of you have never heard of before. Her name is Chloe Cole. Have you ever heard of Chloe Cole? Chloe Cole, an 18-year-old woman, is suing the doctors she claimed coerced her into gender transition procedures in the name of affirmation when she was just a child. The Center for American Liberties announced its intent to sue several doctors and medical groups in California on Wednesday. And Chloe Cole is being represented by the best among us, of course, the great founder and CEO of the Center for American Liberty, Harmeet Dillon. So it turns out these people are going to have to pay a little bit of money. Good. Good, considering they scarred this kid for the rest of her life in some, I don't know, some effort to be gender inclusive, or to not be seen as something that they aren't. This is what happens. This is what happens when you push social contagions on the world. I was just reading a book the other day in preparation for a future guest I'm going to have on this show, which I'm super excited about. His name's Tommy Robinson. I'm definitely going to be having him on the show. You guys should check him out. He was a huge culture warrior a number of years ago, and went through more persecution than I could ever dream of. But I'm going to be trying to get him on the show. I'm super jacked about it. But there was a large scale they called them grooming gangs in Britain. There was a large scale scandal involving these grooming gangs, mostly of Pakistani men, some from North Africa, and the minister, their version of a congressperson, knew that these sorts of things was going on in this one particular town in the north of England. And she openly said on camera, her name is Sarah Champion, that she didn't want to report the abuse of the girls in these towns by the mostly Pakistani men, mostly migrant Pakistani men, because she didn't want to appear racist. How many doctors out there, or therapists, or plastic surgeons are doing some of these surgeries on young people because they don't want to be seen as transphobic? They just want to go along to get along. Well, now it turns out if you just go along to get along, you will be sued, because you are destroying the lives of children in an effort to not, I don't know what, to not be woke, to not be culturally sensitive, to not to be looked down upon at your garden parties. It's what these people care about. Right now, gender transition surgery is a $300 million a year industry. If you're going into the plastic surgery field right now, you want to go into gender transition surgery because a recent Pew poll showed that 40% of Gen Z, iGen, whatever you want to call them, the people that came after me, are now identifying as some form of LGBTQIAP+. Don't forget the two. We can't forget the two-spirited people. We can't forget the people that think they're pixies. We can't forget the people who identify as leprechauns and make you pay a toll every time you go over a bridge. Can't forget those people. We wouldn't want to be gender non-inclusive. But it turns out people are starting to fight back. And they're fighting back in a big way. They're fighting back in a huge way. And this is, let me see if I can pull this up real quick. This is a clip from Tucker Carlson of Chloe Cole on his show with Harmeet Dillon. I want to see if I can pull this up. Boom, here it is. Let's see. I got it up here. Good. Check this out. I don't know why that's not playing. I'll get that handled in a second. Sorry about that. But it's on Tucker, so people are talking about it, so that's pretty exciting. According to the center, let me get back to the article then. According to the center, Cole began suffering from gender dysphoria at 9 years old. She told the Fox News host Tucker Carlson doctors began urging her to transition when she was 12. By 13, she was fully immersed in the transition to manhood. Between 13 and 17, Cole began taking puberty-blocking drugs, received off-label sex hormone treatments, and received a double mastectomy in which both of her breasts were completely removed. Real good. So for all the people out there who want to tell me that this isn't happening, I'm talking to you, Sarah Tully. I'm talking to you, Babs. I'm talking to you, Patty Stoddard, the people that hate watch this show. I'm talking to all of you freaks out there. For the people who want to tell me that this sort of thing isn't happening, just know it is happening. It's happening all over this country. Yes, Mary Ellen. And her parents allowed it. Well, you know what the problem with it is that a lot of times parents don't know it's happening. As we see in many states around the country, as we're starting to see more and more all over the place, that right now you don't have to tell. You don't have to tell parents when their kid begins socially transitioning because their parents may not be accepting of it. We're seeing laws all over the country going through this. There's laws on the books here in New York about it. It's absolutely disgusting. Now a legal adult, Cole laments that I will never be able to breastfeed when I have children, whatever children I will have. I do not even know if, because I was put on puberty blockers and testosterone at only 13 years old. I don't know if I will be able to conceive a child naturally. I made an adult decision as a child, she said. According to her, the decision to speak up was an important one. I want to hold adults that put me in harm's way accountable because what happened to me is horrible, she claimed, but it also didn't only happen to me. That's the worst part. It's happening to children all over the US, all over the West, and it's spreading all over the world, Cole continued. As a result of the grossly negligent treatment that you performed, Cole has permanent, irreversible damage to her body, particularly the female characteristics of her body, reads the notice of the intent to sue that was sent to the defendants. We intend to shut down these barbaric and unnatural practices, Dylan told Tucker Carlson. Good. It's time these doctors start to get... Because look, no one wants to hear about the detransitioners. There was a... If you guys are fans of Tim Pool, you may have seen the clip that he had last week with Ollie London. Ollie London is is like a internet star in Britain who transitioned and apparently he's a guy who wanted to become a Korean woman. It's very odd, but he speaks out about it. More people need to talk about this kind of crap. And I understand why they don't. I totally understand why they don't. Because it's the social pressure that goes on people. See, no one ever wants... See, that's the thing about the left's ideas. They're incredibly broad, but really shallow. Nobody ever asks, and then what? In the words of the great Thomas Sowell, and then what? You want to be an adult, you want to dress like a chick, put on a dress, God, you know what, go have a party. You look like a weirdo, but you know what, I guess that's your prerogative. You look like a freak, have a good time. And then you don't give him, look, if you're a guy and you're in the supermarket wearing a dress and people stare at you, that's not their fault, okay? You chose to go outside looking like that. It's not their fault. You want to dress like a weirdo, that's totally up to you. It's not everybody else's fault to capitulate to your weird sort of fetish or whatever the hell it is, whatever the reason is why you seem to be doing that. It's not our job to play into your weirdo world. And it's good that somebody's finally fighting back about this. Chloe Cole does a great interview with Dr. Jordan Peterson. If you guys have the Daily Wire, I believe it's on YouTube. You can look it up also. Does a great job because he interviews her as a therapist should have interviewed her when she was 12, 13 years old. Look, no one is suggesting that being a teenager isn't hard, particularly being a teenage girl. No one is suggesting that doesn't come with challenges, but just capitulating to whatever children want, giving them irreversible surgeries, irreversible hormone therapies, and any person out there tell you that these sorts of things can just be snapped, changed like that, is lying to you for a particular reason. They're lying to you. Maybe they just don't have the courage to speak out. And you guys know this crap. You guys talk to your normie friends, your friends that maybe aren't as involved in the culture war as you are. You talk to these people, they know it's weird. They know something's not maybe they can't put their finger on it, but they know something's not right. Something is happening that is different than it used to be. I talk about it. I said I'm 33 years old. I was in high school 15 years ago. We didn't have any of this crap. 15 years ain't that long. It's not like I'm talking about, how I used to walk to school uphill both ways in the dark with no shoes on. Like, your grandfather tells that story. That's not happening. It terrifies me. It absolutely terrifies me about what is going on, both in our schools and outside of them, with yes, kids go through stages. We've all known that since, I don't know, the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time. But now you're just supposed to go along with it? No. There's a reason parents exist. Parents exist to right their children's wrongs because, spoiler alert, most kids are dumb. Even smart kids are still dumb in the context of the greater world. Why? Because they're children. The smartest 5-year-old on planet Earth is still an idiot because they don't have any life experience. That's the point of parenting. Now, we have moved on from the self-esteem generation to the everyone gets a trophy generation to the merit has no meaning generation to now we have to just agree when children say things. And you guys see this crap. When you're out at a party, parents will look down at their kids and go, Hey, buddy, you ready to go? You ready to leave? You know when I left things as a child? When my parents were ready to go. How many of you guys slept on a chair when you were 5, 6 years old at Thanksgiving? We all did it. Because your parents weren't ready to leave yet. Now it's all about the kids. Now parents are going out there and they're chasing down the ice cream man to get gluten-free ice cream cones that they have to wipe down with hand sanitizer first. It is about time we start holding the people accountable that are doing these sorts of things to our kids. And of course, the people that want to protest us, the people that want to show up at these board meetings and talk all sorts of nonsense about how we're endangering the lives of trans kids. No, you are mutilating children in the name of virtue. I don't care. There's a great clip of Matt Walsh from the Daily Wire talking about Dylan Mulvaney. You guys know who Dylan Mulvaney is? This freak got to interview the President of the United States because he was on, as he called it, his, 300th day of womanhood. This monster, who is like internet famous, that probably all of your kids watch, gets the privilege of interviewing the President of the United States because they have a mental illness. If I were you, I would watch the clip of Matt Walsh talking about Dylan Mulvaney because some people thought that Matt Walsh had went a little bit too hard. Yes, Lorenzo, I will see you there. I will see you there. Sachem School Board meeting, March 8th. I'll be there. Let's see. I've got some friends on that school board, so let's see what happens. Let's see if anyone, of course, and look, I want to be clear about the Sachem School Board meeting on March 8th. No one will be held accountable. They won't. Because the teachers union are going to come in and defend that teacher that sent a survey. Look, I want to be clear. Sachem is not that this would make it any better or any worse, but Sachem is not some sort of small school district, okay? It's one of the biggest school districts on Long Island, sent out a survey to a bunch of kids to find out about their sex lives. No one will be held accountable for this. No one. However, if you are able to speak, yes, Janet's got it right. How about this? If the school board doesn't like your concerns at the Sachem School Board meeting on March 8th, if the school doesn't like what you have to say, why don't you ask the members of the school board the exact same questions that they asked your 15-year-old daughter? Ask them when the last time they engaged in anal sex was. Let's just see if some of the people on that school board have an answer for it. Moreover, I would call for the school board to bring the teacher forth that sent out that disgusting survey without consulting the parents. Oh, there's two people on that board. I would love to hear their answer for that. When the last time they engaged in anal sex was. We'll see what happens. Nothing will happen because the teachers union will come in and they will defend the teacher in some sort of way. The school will push it aside and nothing will happen. I'm sure there'll be a representative from the teachers union at that school board meeting. You'll be able to tell because they'll be wearing their little nice-it polo, the New York State Teachers Union, and they'll be sitting there with their self-righteous indignation about how they're fighting for, no, they're not fighting for your kids. They're fighting for their members. And they're members of the teachers. So they don't really care. We talk about it on this show all the time, about how it costs almost $1 million to fire a bad teacher on Long Island or in the state of New York because of arbitration and lawyers and the teachers unions getting involved, and we got to get rid of the contracts. Absolutely. If they silence the parents at that school board meeting for asking how many times the school board has engaged in anal sex in the last year, let's sue them. Sachem's got enough money. They had enough money to build a whole new school. That's it. There's now legal precedent to do it. And you know, this is just what happens. This is what happens when liberals, when the left pushes too far. They won't stop pushing, and then they get mad at you for noticing that they're pushing further and further. It's exactly what happens. They push and they push and they push. And then they ask, why are you even noticing? I talk about it when it comes to abortion all the time. For years in this country, there was the standard of, like as Bill Clinton put it, safe, legal, and rare, which was Democrats admitting, look, we don't like this. We don't like abortion. We don't want more of them to happen. However, we think they should be safe and happen as infrequently as humanly possible. And then somehow we got to a point where now you have people going out and celebrating their abortions. Where they're celebrating them. They're talking about how great they are. You have idiots like Michelle Williams, who, I don't know, disappeared from Hollywood for about 20 years after Dawson's Creek, and then won an Oscar for playing Marilyn Monroe, going on stage talking about how she could have never gotten to this point if she hadn't had her child dismembered inside of her body and thrown into a bag. The left continues to put... I think that most normie people, not me, I think a lot of people, if New York State had left the cutoff at 20 weeks, I think most people kind of just would have said, okay, I don't like it, but you know what? That's a middle ground. I wouldn't have done it. I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't have done it, but I think a lot of people would have. And then they said, nope, now we're going to have 40 weeks. Now we're going to have 40-week abortions. And it woke a lot of people up. The teachers union didn't want teachers to be in school because they might get the sniffles for 2 years, and then you got to listen to what your kids were being taught at home, and now they're all upset. And now they're upset that you're fighting back. Well, to hell with them. To hell with them. I can't wait for that school board meeting. I'll be sitting in the front row reading the newspaper. Just letting them know that with a little, maybe, you know what, maybe I'll live stream it. Maybe I'll live stream this HM School Board public comment section just to see how some of them react. Because they won't do anything. This teacher will never be punished. Nothing will happen. The shop steward from Nice-It will sit in the corner. Yep. They'll sit in the corner and they'll just say, "Oh, well, you know, we can't discuss individual teachers." That's what they'll tell you. They can't discuss individual teachers. Well, guess what? We're going to discuss it. Because there's a reason. There's a reason. Look, and that's what's so incredible about it, is that they send these Chromebooks home so that they can just email the kids back and forth, totally cutting the parents out. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm going to be honest with you. Full disclosure here. I would have loved if my father loved if my father wasn't informed every single time I did something in school. I wish there was a way that I could have cut him out of that equation, because it would have certainly saved me a whole lot of groundings. Would have saved me a lot of groundings. But that's what happens now. Now they just cut the parents right out of the equation. It's unbelievable. It's nauseating. It's absolutely nauseating what's happening. Guys, we got about 5 minutes left. I do want to talk about something else real quick. Number one, Wednesday will be streaming live from CPAC. I'm waiting to see how this show is going to operate while we're down at CPAC. So, guys, just make sure you head to rumble.com/LFATV. Make sure you subscribe there for my 1 o'clock show. We got some big guests booked all weekend at CPAC. We're going to be rocking and rolling the entire time. So make sure you guys are subscribed over there. Also, I do want to ask chat if you could please put your opinions. If you're on Rumble, put them in the comments section below the screen, so I can get a feel for that, because I can't read the live chat afterwards. If you're on Facebook, just send me a message and let me know. We're bringing back the local show with all of our all the people here that help bring you this show. There's a bunch of people behind the scenes that help me make this possible that most people don't get to see. So we're going to be bringing back our local show. I want to know, we're going to be doing it on Fridays. I want to know what time works better for you guys, whether it's like 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 8 o'clock on Fridays. What time works better for all of you? That's the best way to support this show and everything we've got going on. I say it all the time. This show is user-generated content. All the T-shirts, all the Rumble rants, all the donations. That is the way we keep this show going. You know, despite what idiots want to say in their little Facebook group, you know, we're not exactly running heavy margins here. So the best way to support what we've got going on over here is either T-shirts, donations, or signing up for the local show. So let me know what you guys want to do. We'll be able to have some of the local people in the community come on during that. I know a few people have expressed that they want to come on the show, and that's when would be the time to do that, because I'm sure a lot of people can't come on at 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you guys just put in the chat, I'm definitely going to be doing it on Fridays. Just let me know what time you guys think would be better for all of you, and we'll be able to make that happen. Thank you for that. Guys, we're pulling up 9 o'clock. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Make sure when you go to your school board meetings, you let them know that it's going to cost the district a whole lot of money, or they could just let you talk. They could just give you your rights and give you the ability to speak. So make sure you guys keep that in mind. Sachem School Board meeting, March 8th. So for all the crazies out there watching, like Ugly Lisa, that's where I'll be. Make sure you guys show up with your little merit badges, like the freaks that you are. Guys, I'll see you back on here live, 1 o'clock on LFA TV. Make sure on the way out the door you guys hit that Rumble button. Share the video out all over the place. Check out all of the... let's see, what do we got here? These are all the social medias where you guys can follow the show and everything. I assume local congressman will be kissing your ass at CPAC. Well, Janet, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific about which local congressman that will be, because our local congressmen don't go to CPAC, because no one outside of Long Island knows who they are, except for one, but he obviously won't be there. I am curious about which one you're talking about, so we'll see. Let me know. But like I said, guys, share this video out all over the place. Make sure. Yeah, he won't be there. Guys, I'll see you back at 1 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Until then, stay loud, guys.